Well, the election's over. The end times is coming. Yeah, right. I've been hearing a lot about that on the alternative media that the end times is right approaching us. Well, there may be some changes in times, and here's going to be Trump's next campaign slogan: "Make Pluto a planet again." Because I don't know about this "Make America Great." He's one guy. We don't elect a fascist dictator that controls the economy. Whatever is going to happen is going to happen, and I think things are beyond his control. Actually, he's warned us about in the first quarter. I hope the recession doesn't come in the first quarter of the next administration because it can make it very difficult for the president to help the economy thrive, and the only way he can make it thrive is through cutting a lot of these excess regulations, right? That's the reality of the situation. Now, here's Trump with some of his new interns from Hooters. Actually, I put a video about this as an idea for Mr. Bill Clinton in his after the Clinton Foundation, where he can run a restaurant. He can have his own intern restaurant with instead of Hooters girls, have intern girls. Anyway, but that's something else if you want to look at that. But the reality of the situation is the Illuminati still controls the scene behind Trump. And Trump is not the biggest guy on the planet, obviously. You know that? And here we got an Illuminati girl coming down from the steps of the castle with her devil antlers on sideways or whatever the hell it is. And the deal is they still control. They still control. So for all you chicken littles out there that say the end is coming, here's the chicken. Hey, man, right? You want to panic? Does it make you feel good? I mean, what are you going to do about it, really, right? Nothing. So, and actually, if you look at my videos, right, I throw a lot of practical stuff in onto my channel, even though it's a hodgepodge of different things. It's not like, I don't have a fearmonger channel. I've got more of a practical mind. If you got a problem coming up, roll up your sleeves and fix it, right? I mean, you know what I mean? Like the Western pioneers and stuff. What do they do? Hey, there's a bear in the woods. What are we gonna do? Oh, we gotta call the police and get the bear in the woods. No, they took care of the bear. Anyway, so the elites still run everything as usual, and you can kind of see that what's going on with the Trump administration because he's kind of picking a lot of elitists. I don't know if he's going to pick Romney. Now, actually, one way I saved a lot of money is because I never gave Trump a dime for his election. I didn't give him nothing, not even $10. I saw some comments by people like said I gave $216 to Trump and that was all the money we had. We're starving, we're poor, we're destitute, and we thought you weren't going to pick Romney. I was like, ugh, that you don't do that for the you. It's like that's what the problem. That's the problem, man. These guys got so, you know. Everybody thinks somebody with a lot of money's out there to freaking help you when they actually talk nice. Not necessarily. Maybe he's all right. I think he's a lot better than Hillary. And also, I'm going to get on with another video because I did some research. Hillary cheated by a gazillion miles in California. I think Trump won by a landslide. But that's another issue. But it's related to this in this way. The financial markets are rigged, just like the political election was. And as a matter of fact, what's coming up is other problems. Where we have tensions with Russia. Now, one indication I'm seeing that there probably is tensions with Russia bigger than usual, not just because of the political headlines, but because of what's going on with the price of palladium. Palladium's been going up recently. Now, I know it already hit 850 back in 2011. Actually, it was a year and a half ago. It was 900. But since 43% of the world's supply of palladium comes from Russia, the higher the tensions with Russia, usually that makes that metal move up. In North America, in Canada, North America Palladium, PAL stock ticker, that went out of business, and Stillman's the only one that gets any kind of palladium on the Western Hemisphere worth anything, and it's not, any significant amounts, and it's not much. 43% comes from Russia, 40% comes from South Africa. South Africa is very unstable. And, the more people drive and the more hybrids, even hybrid vehicles, they use 30% more palladium per vehicle than even regular conventional cars. So we're not going all electric, so we'll probably go to hybrid first before the electric. And even electric cars use some palladium. But hybrids use more palladium than conventional cars. And more and more drivers in India, China, Iran, Brazil, Saudi, whatever, right? So globally, there's more and more drivers, not necessarily in the United States and Europe, but globally, yeah. But I also noticed, though, I don't think it's all the fundamentals that are making it go up. I think it's because the tensions with Russia's are actually, I think the smarter investors are realizing there's higher tensions with Russia, and that's why you're seeing that reflected in the palladium price. Now, that also forebodes something bad for the future, because I think that, you know, conflict with Russia might be in the cards. I mean, Putin's been warning us about it, and that's also in the message of Fatima. I don't know, maybe. But in the meantime, the peasants are going to be bearing their backs because the economy is, well, let me put it this way. I know, according to the major media, and I don't know where to, I know the GDP has done great, last quarter. They just reported it. Oh, the GDP for the third quarter is so great and all this kind of crap, 2016. Now, I don't know where that is exactly because I don't necessarily look at the numbers exactly, 110%. Because in other words, say the GDP went up because they sold a lot more pharmaceutical and psychotropic drugs and family counseling. And I'm thinking, well, that's great. What does that do? Or Apple sold a lot more iPhones or whatever, Apple Watches. I mean, just to give an example. Like, for instance, if you spend $500 on an Apple Watch, I got a Casio freaking solar-powered stainless steel shockproof that I work on cars with for $39 and it outlasts that Apple Watch. It's $500. I'm like, you know what I mean? I mean, you can say the GDP was $500 versus $39, but what you really got was you got more utility and value for the $39. You see what I'm saying? Like when they're measuring the economy, they're only looking at the numbers. They're not really seeing like what's being produced that people really use. It could be a lot of fluff, service-based garbage, right? So anyway, I think this election also, well, yeah, I know I shouldn't talk about the election too much, but I'll say this: I think it's the beginning of the end of feminism. Here's a couple ex-feminists riding tandem on a motorcycle. They're realizing that the only way to be independent is to ride tandem and reduce your gas bill and don't take the bus and you go wherever the hell you want. Because these are two chicks that aren't going to use using Google cars. But, that's exactly my theme on a lot of things. Say everything did kind of fall apart, and, it never falls apart completely. Say we went back to an earlier time, not like even the 1800s, say the 1930s, 40s, or 50s. The world wasn't so bad then. I mean, come on. I mean, everybody got along fine. You just had to work out in a more practical sense. You weren't sticking your nose in your little Android or iPhone, or you're sticking your face in front of a screen on a computer freaking 15 hours a day or something. You were doing stuff. And actually, that's why I post a lot of videos on practical doing things, too. Because I think they're more helpful. They're more helpful, right? And that's really kind of the point where I'm getting on with this end time stuff. In a real sense, and there could be some bad stuff coming up, but if you roll up your sleeves, you'll be all right. Most people will be all right. It's not going to be the end times. There's probably so much fluff, corruption, and all this kind of garbage going on that there's going to be, a purge of all this garbage. Actually, that's part of the message of Fatima. Mankind has sinned so much and offended the Lord that Russia is going to be used as the instrument above God to chastise mankind. That's what it says. I don't know if I think it's legit, And I don't know. I kind of think it's going to play out that way, But that is conjecture. But what I have to tell you what I think is reality is that, you see with markets, I know you got supply and demand, but there's also a thing called trust and confidence with markets. And markets don't work without trust and confidence. The markets today are over 70% computerized web bots trading with each other, and the public doesn't trust it. I mean, there's people in the markets maybe that are retired, that got some significant amount of money, but by and large, most people aren't in the markets, and most people don't want to get involved in the markets. Just they don't trust it. Everybody thinks it's rigged. So, what you really got going on is a big paper shuffling game for the elite. And, if you look at the government, it doesn't matter if it's federal, state, or county, it's corrupt as all hell. They get involved in everybody's lives, personal lives, school lives, kids' lives. Back in the old days, the guy was out there The safety inspector be like running out here saying, "You can't hold that kid on top of the motorcycle. That's dangerous. Where's your helmets? Where's your freaking boots? Where's your gloves? You can't. You know what I mean." They don't even let you freaking open up a lemonade stand today without regulation. And before all this regulation, actually things thrived a lot better. We could be doing really great with without a lot of regulation because with the internet's got a good side, but the problem is with the internet, they used it to make more regulation. You know, as a matter of fact, if you look at the IRS code, if they didn't have this freaking software that can do your taxes, and I'm not just talking about turbo taxes, more complicated software than that, you couldn't even do this stuff. You'd be there all day. You'd be there all freaking day messing around with this shit. If you didn't have computers to do it. So the more computers they got, the more regulations they have. But if they just used it for the private sector, like in other words, I need a part for this bike. There's a weird bearing in the rear wheel that I can't find. You go on eBay or something, or you just look it up on Google, and you find it, right? Back in the day, you'd be going to the parts store and saying, hey, you got this? No, I don't know. And then you go 10 parts stores, and the guy goes, I got to order it. It'll take a couple months. Today, you get it freaking 24 hours, right, just by internet. That's where commerce is helped by the internet, but then again, it's thwarted by problems, other things. Now, I'm glad Obama's getting the hell out of office. I'm going to tell you that right now. What Obama needs to do is get himself a real girl instead of that he/she thing he's got. Somebody like this that likes to play basketball, maybe thumb on the ride or something, and be a normal good dude. Because one thing I'm glad about Trump, at least he's not going to light up the White House like a Fruit Loop. You're not going to say that. Oh my God, Obama, you're a freaking weirdo. Anyway, I can't. This is another thing that tells me that the United States got some problems because I don't think Hillary got that many votes, but of the people that voted for her, I really do think they're a serious problem in this country. Now, when I voted for Trump, did I believe everything he said? No. 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 I just realized Hilda Beast was the bad news. But, I realized that most people just want something for nothing, or, I don't know, they're on crack. I mean, for crying out loud. And for you people that are worried about the world ending, besides Jesus, you also got this stuff, 100 tablets of heroin, hydrochloric poison, 1 to 6 grain. You can take some of this, too, because it works just as good as religion, right? Because I'm not much in, I'm going to tell you some real reasons I think the end times is not, I shouldn't use those words, that there's going to be a change. I'll say some reasons why in reality. But I don't like what the alternative media is putting out about the end times. The end times is coming. Blah, blah, blah. I mean, if it is, so what? What are you going to do, right? If you don't have heroin, you got booze, right? For crying out loud, right? But anyway, just get a motorcycle or some shit, enjoy yourself, and you relieve a lot of your tensions out there in the wind. Now, one reason I do think there's going to be some tumultuous times coming up, because I think a lot of the economy's fake. Now, I know that's been said many times before in the alternative media and also by me, right? But I think that's true because, I used to put out about the railroad cargo index, how much being transported on the railways. That was a major indication of what's really being traded within the country, what's being moved as far as goods. The laying off of railroad conductors, that was something else. There was also the Baltic Dry Index, also hitting all-time lows just a couple months ago. There was also, the Hooker Index, prostitution index. That's another thing. Discretionary spending's down. Ask any hooker what the business is. She says business is low. That's another thing that tells you hookers and gambling. If that's down, that's an indication the public doesn't have much money. I mean, for your religious people, I'm not advocating those things, but I'm saying that's actually a major economic indicator besides the railroad traffics, the Baltic Index and the Baltic Dry Index. The hooker and gambling index is a real major indicators of what's going on. The retail market kind of sucks. Now, I've been buying some stuff, retail. I've been looking at all the Black Friday sales and stuff. I've been buying stuff left and right. And because it's on super sale, that's because I save money not giving Trump any money. Not that I really hate the guy or nothing, but I was like, hey, if you got billions of dollars to run your campaign and you don't need anybody's money, well, why should I give you any, Bob? You know what I mean? Thank you. Anyway, but just like this guy over here at the church, he's sitting there in the pew, and we're all listening to the pastor. He's like, they're passing around a tray, and he goes, "Thanks, man." Now, this was a guy that was a real diehard Hillary supporter, but in reality, Hillary wouldn't be giving out a tray full of dollars and fives and 20s. In reality, she'd be throwing you in a gulag because she's a statist. Now, as far as what comes up at the end times, I think the tensions with Russia are escalating for real. Now, Mr. Putin himself, I know he's against the New World Order, but he's against the Western New World Order. Get that straight. He's against the Western New World Order. Yes, the Western New World Order is evil. Yes, Putin is kind of relaxing some of the stuff in Russia, but then again, he is a dictator. Putin is the law. You know what I mean? And he cheated on an election too, I'll guarantee you. Any freaking political opponents that were looked like they were a threat, they're probably dead, including the reporters that said bad stuff about him, right? Putin is for a Russian New World Order. So we're probably going to have the clash of titans coming up here, unfortunately. I don't want this to happen. I was kind of hoping it wasn't going to happen, but then I think Trump is now, looks like he's choosing a lot of hardliners like Pompeo for the CIA. He's talking about choosing Romney. He might not, but then again, just the fact that he's talking about choosing Romney tells me, half the shit he said on his campaign is full of it, But still, he's going to deliver on some of it. And he's, Hillary, who knows? I don't know. Hillary's going to be, she might get the electric chair eventually, hopefully. Anyway, better yet, we could just take her out on this dune buggy thing from circa 1920, which is the motorcycle with the sidecar, and we could dump her off the pier with a cement blocks on her freaking feet. I would enjoy that better, and we could take a video of it at the time, and we could post it on YouTube and get 10 million views. Here's Hillary's final adieu. Into the drink. See ya, Hillary. Fish food. The fish probably won't even eat her. That would be a great video. I don't know if that would pass the freaking Google, the YouTube advertiser-friendly, things. It depends on how you do it. Maybe we'll get her naked and put body paint on her, and that'll make it past the advertiser-friendly things. But I don't know. But let me say this too. Also, there's another thing I've been advocating, not advocating, but also warning about, where we're probably going to have some end times coming. Is that it's not the end times? It's more like a cycle. The weather itself, the climate, not the climate change the globalists are trying to push, like the global Club of Rome, where they're saying, man-made emissions, we got to have a global carbon tax to flow into global government and a global army. I'm talking about we're actually going into global cooling, which is a major cycle. We're going into the 400-something year cycle, a major mini ice age. And that's going to affect crop production in Canada especially, and also north central United States, and also in Russia, Europe, Ukraine, Poland. And it's going to create food shortages, and it's like they could fix it if they got time to adjust and if they understand what's coming down. But there's been a lot of major crop failures in Canada that were record failures because of record snows, right? And that's also going to cause fuel prices to go up too, because heating's going to go up, and there you got your chopper, right? It's called the exciter chopper. That's why we got an exciter sitting on top of the exciter chopper. But that's why, you got to get down to practical stuff. Practical stuff, you'll be fine. As a matter of fact, I know I put out videos about the Perfection 1550 heater using ultra-low sulfur diesel. But say you don't want to do that. You want to just get a tiny wood-burning stove. Even a little one that's made for, like, RVs that just heats part of your house. Fine. You don't have to do too much work to put too much wood in that thing. You save yourself some money, right? Just with your extra tree branches you're around your house, right? Now, I just want to say that, people just need to, just roll up their sleeves. It'll be fine. for the most part. Now, if we go into nuclear war with Russia, I think we're screwed. Okay, I'm hoping that doesn't happen. But if that happens, well, you know, you're going to be here one day, and 10 minutes later, you're not going to be here. Maybe that's what's going to happen. So, what are you going to do about it? Worry about it? I mean, that's we've been having that scare since the 50s. I think it's probably reality, though. To tell you the truth, I hate to say that, and I do plan to survive it if that's the case. But you know, for you people that find that too mind-boggling, there's always heroin, right? Just kidding, just kidding. Heroin or religion, one or the other. Take your pick. Anyway, some people take religion, and it's like you can't freaking dwell on these things too much. As far as like the other side of it, where I think the end times is probably legit, is the message of Fatima. That miracle at Fatima that happened in October 13th, 1917, when Mary did the miracle of the sun. All the details, you have to look at that. Maybe go search it on Wikipedia, or you look at the Catholic Church version or whatever. I know some people say it's debunked, but I can't see how. But she specifically stated that wars and depressions, economic depressions, are wrath of God for sins committed against the Lord. Probably true. And I'm looking at what's going on in the United States, and there's a lot of sins going against the world, because you look at the relaxation of the moral standards. Not that I'm an ultra conservative here now, but if you look at what's been going on for so many years now, it's unimaginable the things that are going on today that would have been like, not they would never have been accepted even 40 years ago, let alone 70 years ago or 80 years ago. No way in a million years. I know there's always the fringe society out there. And you know what? If you're like on the fringe society and you just do some wild shit, I'm not against you. I'm not out here to freaking tell people what to do or what to believe. I'm not out there to, I'm not like preaching to people. I'm just saying that, that message of Fatima is probably legit, man. And like, that's a warning, man. She warned us. She says if mankind doesn't stop sinning and offending the Lord, she predicted World War II. She predicted, the unknown light that was in the sky, the Borealis, Aurealis, whatever that was, that happened right before Hitler invaded Poland. It did happen. There'd be a sign. She predicted that the popes would become far more corrupt in the end times of the church. And I was like, yeah, they're already that happened. And she says eventually that there would be punishment from Russia for the chastisement of mankind for its sins, and that nations would be annihilated. Maybe. Well, I'm looking at it like this. If I'm living up in the Appalachian Mountains up in Tennessee with a crazy ex-feminist lesbian chicks, I don't really care if the nation gets annihilated as long as I don't get annihilated. That's what I'm looking at. The nation can get annihilated, fine. I'm looking at for me first. That's why I didn't give to Trump, because I'm not worried about Trump. I'm worried about me. Now, I'm worried about people that, not worried about, but I like to help people that are pragmatic people. Obviously, there's stuff I could probably put out on here that probably get a lot more views and stuff that I've already seen what gathers the most views on YouTube, man. It's like, but it's the most nonsensical crap going. That's the problem. And probably your biggest bet on the metals is going to be the palladium itself. Although I think I'm going to dump a good part of it for land when it goes up significantly. I'm not going to wait for it to go to the sky, because I think when it goes to the sky, it may mean that there's problems in the United States, and I really want to be relocated possibly in a few years, and maybe permanently then. And not sure about where I'm at right now. I'm not sure. Not 100% sure. I don't think this is the best freaking place for it. So, although it is warm, that's one good advantage of it. But one nuke from Russia, since Florida's so flat, it'd be the whole state would be gone. I wouldn't like that. Anyway, but that's not to harp on this Chicken Little shit, would scare you. You know, I think that's just something. I just think it's reality. I know Harold Camping predicted the end of the world. $75 million Harold Camping. Remember that a couple years ago? And these people were freaking jumping off of cliffs and drowning themselves in the ocean and shit because the end of the world was coming. They gave up all their money. What I do is I just do stuff here and there and prepare a little bit here and there, and I don't go balls to the wall with it. Just a little bit here and there, kind of like an added insurance. That I do think the elite got plans, and they already openly stated through the Georgia Guidestones that they want to get the population below 500 million in perpetual balance with nature. If you look at the Georgia Guidestones outside of Athens, Tennessee, yeah, I mean, they're openly stating what they want to do. And how are they going to do that? I mean, it doesn't look like vaccinations are working fast enough. It doesn't look like genetically modified foods are working fast enough. It doesn't look like Planned Parenthood is working fast enough. Maybe they'll just bomb us or some shit or give us biological chemical warfare. But, like I said, with biological warfare, I got my spooky plasma, and no problem, right? And we also got colloidal silver. And that's one reason I think silver is going to do well, because people got to get going on what they have to understand about colloidal silver. Man, it's amazing how many people are ignorant of this stuff. How good that could be for your body, even help your body to produce stem cells, which is like reverse aging, which everybody would want because everybody wants to be be able to handle three Hooters girls at once. I'm sure Bill Clinton would like to do that too, besides Donald Trump. But that's part of the beauty and luster of silver. It's got a lot of health benefits. That's one thing I could say palladium doesn't have, platinum doesn't have, and gold doesn't have. I know they got other colloidal this and colloidal that, but colloidal gold for the brain and all that. But colloidal silver is the real kicker. That's the one you want. That's the real bug juice you want. But as far as like where we're going with this stuff, I think really, I think this "Make America Great" is going to turn out to be the exact opposite. I mean, Romney. I don't like Romney, but it's amazing how these guys rat out each other when they're criticizing each other. Like when Trump is telling you about Romney, Romney's telling you about Trump. They're all giving you grains of truth. Romney says that Trump's going to make the economy bad. I don't think Trump's going to make the economy bad. I think it's just going to come out, and you're going to see it in reality that the economy is bad because the elite were trying to get Hillary in here because Hillary would push their agenda faster than Trump ever would in a million years, right? Although Trump is kind of going along with it too. He's kind of like another Reagan. His speeches aren't going to be matching his actions, and his actions are still going to be a hell of a lot better than what could have been in there, and it's going to slow it down somewhat. But I think, like actually back in September 28th, I think it was, 2008, we almost had a complete financial implosion where there was electronic bank run on the money markets. And today, if that happened, it did happen then. And you could talk with Timmy Geithner. You could also talk, I don't want to see the other guy's name that works with the boutique investment house to talk to. He's the head of it in Florida that works with the CPA firm. And also you talk with Hank Paulson, who said the same thing. But today, it's actually a far more acute situation. As a matter of fact, consumers are tapped out on credit. Credit is not expanding anymore because there's no more assets to back up the credit, because all credit's backed up by assets. It's all tapped out. That's why the economy's hitting the brakes right now. That's why I'm looking at this GDP and I'm like, yeah, right. What is the GDP? Is that the investment bank income, or is that the pharmaceuticals industry income? What is that crap? I mean, really, it's not, Joe the plumber and Larry the lumberjack framer guy that's building something. It's mostly fluff garbage. And that's my point on this deal, because I think the economy is so much into the professional useless eaters that's the numbers. It's like the difference between buying a Like I bought a bunch of Bud K knives just now. I know somewhere like $10 for a Bowie knife, and I'm like, I don't know how good they are. But I'd rather do that. For like 50 something bucks, I got a whole pile of shit because they're having like a super saver sale on Black Friday extended. I says, I'll get some more of this crap. I says, if I would have gave $50 to Trump, I'm like, what did I get? Nothing. Hey, I got a bunch of Bowie knives. I got a tactical bag, an M7 bayonet. I'd rather have that instead, right? But that's kind of like the point about. It's a good analogy to even when you're talking about the GDP. Say you got some psychologist talking to all the kids in school, and he's making $250, $350 an hour. You know, and he's selling them meds. What the hell's this jerk doing? Nothing, right? Turning the kids into a bunch of zombie drug addicts. In the meantime, he's making himself filthy rich, right? And then you say, well, that's part of the GDP. Well, say you had, a Boy Scout leader that was teaching the kids how to camp and how to start a fire, how to make fell trees, and how to make big nooses for like animals and people. Like you could catch their foot in a tree and they'd go flying up. We used to do that in the Boy Scouts. We used to make like the big, not just the squirrel traps, but like the ones where if a person stepped in it, they'd go flying up in the air. That's called the Boy Scout Extreme. Bonfires with a gallon of gas and you blow up the freaking wood pile. We used to do stuff like that in the Boy Scouts, But anyway, you could do stuff like that and you learn something, right? And you come out like me later on in life, Anyway, but the thing is, what is the GDP based upon? The investment banks are making a lot of money. What, with a bunch of web bots trading with each other? If I see a bunch of choppers, old what is that, a knucklehead? Yeah, a bunch of knuckleheads like this, hey, being reproduced or something or whatever, fine. Something's got to be coming out of factories. That's real production. Real production that people use on a daily basis. And if that's going higher, then I say we're getting more material wealth. But like I gotta warn you, material wealth is not everything. Even like Calvin Coolidge said, who also says the business of America is business. He also stated that, we also got to not just look at the brightest minds and what we have, and what's the best technology, and what we see in the world and what material things we have. Well, we also got to really regard most highly the unseen, which is the spiritual world. And you know what? That is the message of Fatima. That's the warning. Because, sometimes when people think they're down and out, even when something goes really, really wrong, things can turn around. When you hit a low, they turn around. Sometimes when people are on a high and they think they got everything all figured out, that's right before the fall. And, honestly, I think that's the United States. The United States has been on a high for so long. Hey, we're number one. Yeah, right. Number one, right? Yeah, I'd like to think that. But, I don't worship the United States. The United States is not my God. I'm not burning a flag or nothing. I'm not saying that. By the way, Trump says he's floating the idea of either lose your citizenship or spend a year in jail if you burn the flag. I was like, well, I don't know about that, dude. But, I'm not for burning a flag. Maybe a week in jail or some shit, maybe 5 days. But, as far as, I'm not here to worship the government, This country belongs to us, we the people. The only thing the government's supposed to do is it's an instrument to help protect us, our rights, that we give them the power to do that, but they have absolutely no right to take away any of the people's rights, period. That's why I don't look to them like, yes, sir, God, government, you, thank you for giving me my rights. No. Forget about that shit. So, that's really the way you got to think of everything. I'm like patriotic, but in a loose sense. The country's the country's here, fine. It's over here, it's there, whatever, fine. But as far as like what's coming down the pike, yeah, I think it's not like end times, but a change in times. And actually, even this major climate cycle, which has nothing to do with man-made emissions or anything like that, is going to be a major factor in the economy. Food prices are going to go up due to global cooling, which is mini ice age coming up. And who the hell knows? We've even got the major ice age coming up, man. That's a long shot. Nobody can predict that, but we're 500 years late on that. And actually, if you look at all of history that we know, even if you're looking at Jewish history, it goes back so many thousands of years, it all happened after the end of the major ice age. I don't know what the hell the Earth was like before, because there was like 90,000 years of ice age, and mankind's been around a lot longer than that. I mean, you've probably been here for like, I don't know, there's probably civilizations 200,000 years ago that are long forgotten, and maybe they're far more advanced than we ever were. I don't know. Maybe they went to another planet. I mean, all speculation. I don't know. And I'm not on heroin talking about this shit. That's pure speculation. You know what I'm saying? Pure speculation. But I think that we likely are coming into, tumultuous change. And there's been tumultuous changes before. World War II was a tumultuous change. When you compare it to World War I, they made World War I look like World War I was a tumultuous change. It was terrible. The war to end all wars, and a greater war came about. Now, there's been such a fear of the nuclear weapons that World War III has always been staved off. But I don't know, Putin's been warning a lot of people, like, you guys don't understand. He says, I see a train wreck coming, and you guys just don't understand. And in that respect, I think Putin's right. Maybe they're deliberately doing this because maybe they want to get the population below 500 million. I don't know. But anyway, don't fret the small stuff in a lot of ways. And religion itself is a racket. If you want to be religious, be religious. That's you. You want to be spiritual? Be spiritual. That's you. You don't need to give to these entities left and right unless you know that entity inside out. But most of the freaking people that are religious are con jobs. And like a lot of the things I see on YouTube about the end times, they're total con jobs to the max. And, I think there's some problems coming up, no doubt about it. I think they staved off the problems till after the first president gets in the office because they wanted the economy and the oil prices and the fuel prices to be low and the economy to be strong up until the time of the election at least, because that would be to give the best chance for their number one pick, for the Illuminati's number one pick, which was Hillary Clinton. Not to say that Trump isn't halfway in with them too, but he's not all the way against them either. I can tell you that right now. He just can't be. It's impossible. So we probably are coming into tumultuous times. But if you look back, there's been tumultuous times before. The war between the states. The American Revolution of 1776. I don't know. There's been depressions in the Panic of 1857. There's been, the Great Depression in 1930. I mean, there's been a lot of stuff. Even the 60s could have been considered tumultuous times, right? Sort of. And, with everything we got today, and, this is where, I also say, not just to buy silver, but to buy things that you can use, not necessarily technology. I've actually gotten away from buying brand new technology. I go on eBay and buy used technology that's from a 100% rated preferred vendor because it's like pennies on a dollar and it just works the same. But I found out some of the old school stuff is the stuff that's going to get you by through the worst times. Except if we go into a nuclear war or something. But I don't know if we're going to go into that. And I personally plan to survive that because if I'm up in the Appalachian Mountains up there in Tennessee and I got my underground bunker, hey, I'll be alright. I don't give a shit. Either way, I'm probably going to have an underground bunker here in Florida, too. I don't give a shit. So, I'll be the only one to survive, and, it just makes me more, well, whatever. I don't know if that's going to happen, but that's the worst case of the worst case of the worst case. But a lot of people are predicting that right now, right? On the YouTube fearmonger channels, and it might be right. They might be. They might be. I don't know. They might be partially right. That's what I'm suspecting. I think partially, because there's no real financial incentive to destroy, because what you really want to do, say for instance you're China or Russia or some crap and you want to take over the United States, you don't want to wreck everything, you want to keep everything in place, you know what I mean? You want to just take it over, you want to own it, you want the assets intact. It's better for business. But, that wouldn't be good either. So, and, if China took over, Russia took over, I'd tell them to go to hell too, because I don't like any elitist, period. So, anyway, just want to put out a little positive update, giving you some of the reality of the fearmonger chicken little shit. And, I'm not really scaring the crap out of you too much, but, as far as what's going to come down the pike, I don't know. I don't know for sure, but I got a pretty good idea. But as far as Trump saying "Make America Great," he might as well be saying "Make Pluto a planet again." He's not going to be able to do this, even if he's 110% legit. He's one guy. He's one guy. The shit is too far gone, and it's not. And the reason, you know what's going to happen though? The people that are the dead wood in this country, they're going to get it the worst, because they're the ones dependent upon government. If you're not one of those people, you're going to be okay. You see what I'm saying? It's not the end of the world for everybody. It's the end of the. It's going to be a change for the people that are not doing as much work as they should be. That's what it's going. That's the reality situation. But I right now I think Trump is half full of it. I know he's not all full of it, but even if he's 100% legit, it's like, hang it up, man, hang it up. I've been saying this shit. I know with her. I mean, she got elected today. I'd be already working on the bunker, man. I'm full tilt. I would be, man. I was like, the lady, as soon as she gets in, she's gonna have like one of her Parkinson's moments. Give me those nuclear keys. I'm like, holy shit. Well, I'll probably put out a video on the California election, because I think Trump won by a landslide in California. I'm telling you the truth, man. Honestly, I lived out in California for almost 4 years, and the way people think in California, yeah, they're independent, progressive, and all that type of stuff for the most part, right? I mean, some are conservative, some aren't, but even up amongst the progressive liberal types, I think a lot of them would not have went for Hillary. She supposedly got like 71% of the vote or some shit. I was like, get the hell out of here, of eligible voters or some crap. Anyway, we'll take a look at those numbers later, and that'll be a separate video. But as far as end times, no. As far as changes, yes. So do beware.